This story begins with a teenager living with her mother and grandmother. Larkita Collier was the average 16-year-old that had a good head on her shoulders. This was mainly due to her mother and grandmother that instilled very important values in her. Her mother, Sandra, was a hard-working woman that spent most of her days working long hours to provide for her. Her grandmother, Bertha Atkins, stayed in at home and was a constant motivator for Larkita. They were also very close as they spent a lot of time together chatting and watching TV. But just like every teenager, Larkita would begin to go through her rebellious stage. It all started at the beginning of her freshman year when she would begin to realize something in her that was unexplainable to both her mother and grandmother. She realized that she was attracted to the same sex. This soon led to her falling madly in love with a classmate named Sharon Patterson. Sharon Patterson was a runaway that had no home of her own, which oftentimes led to her house hopping. But the main place she would go for shelter is in Larkita's bedroom. Larkita would sneak Sharon into her room with her mother and grandmother not knowing she was doing so. The two were able to get away with this for many nights. But one morning, Larkita's mom would go wake her up for school and she would walk into her bedroom to see Larkita and Sharon sleeping in bed together. Larkita's mother and grandmother highly disapproved of her being in a relationship with the girl, leading to them coming up with a possible solution. They gave Larkita two choices: either break up with Sharon Patterson or she could continue to be with her girlfriend, but the only drawback from this is that she won't be able to live under her mother and grandmother's roof. But the mother, being the reasonable person she was, she disbanded the first rule and said that Sharon can continue to visit her home only if she's home. She also said that Sharon can't stay overnight anymore. Larkita would then agree with her mother's new set of rules, but she wouldn't abide by them long, as one day when she had Sharon over, they would dirty up the house. When Sandra returned home from a long day of working, she would walk in and see the mess. She would then tell Larkita and Sharon to clean up. When she told the girls this, Larkita would respond to her by saying, "We'll do it later." The mother then responded by saying, "No, you're gonna do it right now." This led to Sharon responding by saying, "Make us." Now let me tell y'all something, bro. If I was the mama in this situation, my daughter's girlfriend would have got a whole two-piece special. I would have pieced her up immediately after she said that. What you mean, make us? No, scratch that. Both of them would have got the Street Fighter Alpha 2 combo. Like, you gonna come up in my house, dirty my crib up, and when I tell you to clean up, you gonna respond by saying, "Make me? Make us?" Man. Bro, it would have been a whole 187 homicide up in that house right there. You hear me? But let me stop playing to get back on track. But what the mother decided to do instead was kick Sharon out of her home. She was also not allowed to come back as well. This incident would highly upset Larkita and Sharon as they felt Sandra was coming between them. But I mean, is it really hard to respect this woman's house? I mean, if you did that and follow her rules, y'all could see each other all the time. But nah, she gotta put up with the disrespect and let you continue to be in her home? Bro, these little girls was tripping. But Sandra's strict demands would only make things worse as the two girls would begin to completely rebel. With Sharon not being allowed in the home only gave Larkita more fire to continue to sneak her in. On one night, Larkita's grandmother would begin to hear some noises coming from the basement. When she would go see what it was, she would be shocked by what she discovered. It was Larkita and Sharon having sex. The grandmother would quickly tell Sharon that she has to leave, and if she doesn't leave, she's gonna call the police. This would lead to an altercation with the two, as Sharon would tell the grandmother that she isn't going anywhere. Larkita would quickly tell Sharon that she must leave, as she didn't want her grandmother to call the police on her. Once the grandmother noticed that Larkita reasoned with her, she would then go back upstairs and watch TV. But the girls had a different plan in mind. Larkita would ask Sharon, "Why won't she just leave us alone?" Sharon replied by saying, "I know how we could make her not bother us ever again." And surprisingly, Larkita agreed to Sharon's proposal. The two would then acquire a hammer and head upstairs. All of the built up anger and frustration finally led to the two indulging in something extremely evil. Once they reached the grandmother's destination, the two girls would ambush her. Shockingly, the granddaughter would carry out the first attacks as she began to bludgeon her grandmother with the hammer. She would then give the hammer to Sharon, and she would do the same. The crazy thing about this is that these two teenage girls had no prior offenses involving in violence, as this was their very first time doing something so heinous. After they killed the grandmother, the two would then begin to come up with a plan to get rid of the body, but they had to act quickly as Larkita's mother would be home soon, and what the two decided to do would both be illogical and just plain dumb. Larkita would go downstairs to the basement and retrieve a can of gasoline. She would then drench her grandmother with the gasoline and set her on fire. The two would then leave the house, leaving it in a blaze. And what they would decide to do next is even crazier. The two would go to the movies to watch a horror movie. They would sit in a theater with their popcorn as if nothing happened. But while they were enjoying their movie, they would quickly be found out as a neighbor saw them casually leave the home after they set it on fire. The neighbor was outside taking out the trash when she recognized the two girls. When firefighters arrived at the scene to put out the fire, they discovered Bertha Atkins dead in the living room. They would quickly rule her death a homicide as the blows to her head were very visible. With Larkita and Sharon being the last ones to leave the house, they were brought in for questioning, leading to them both blaming each other. Once the pressure was on, they both folded and their bond was no longer. Now this right here is just crazy to me. Like, y'all just killed this innocent woman because y'all claim to love each other, but once the police will scoop y'all up, y'all gonna start snitching on each other? Like, damn, what happened to the love? Like, this don't make no sense. Why would you kill this woman? I mean, if y'all wanted to be together, just, I don't know, run away. You know what I'm saying? Run away or something. Why you gotta kill somebody? Hey, this is just like, these girls was just dumb as hell. I mean, that's just how I feel about it. Just don't make no sense to me. But what does make sense is that in 2004, Larkita would be convicted of first-degree murder and arson, and Sharon Patterson would also be convicted of first-degree murder, and they will both be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And this right here is where the story ends. And all I gotta say, man, y'all already know, I gotta say RIP to the grandmother. You did not deserve that at all. And what's so crazy about this is that she was beat to death with a hammer by her own granddaughter, like her own granddaughter that, you know, claimed to love her, and you know, they spent a lot of time together, like watching TV and just like hanging out and stuff. How do you just kill your how do you just kill your granny like that? Over a girl? Over some high school love? High school love don't last. Like, y'all would have broke up as soon as y'all would have graduated. It would have been like, I don't like her no more. But you gonna kill your grandma over a girl that's gonna end up snitching on you anyway. But not only did you kill your grandma, you burned her. Like, this is just crazy. But I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Daily Women. You know, this is where I found out about this story from. If y'all don't know, I am a huge watcher of the investigative channel. I love Daily Women. I love Your Worst Nightmare and all of the shows that they have on there. So big shout out to Daily Women, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, this is what's gonna be on this channel from now on, real horror stories. I love doing these videos, and yeah, man, I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. GB signing out.